Hi, I'm Brianna, and today I'm going to be refuting the claim that genetically modified foods are unsafe. The advocates' secondary claims were that one, GMOs are either banned or strictly controlled in over 60 countries, indicating that GMOs are hazardous to the environment. And the second claim was that GMOs are a threat to the health of human beings that eat these organisms. My claims against that are that first, the advocate's secondary claim is a fallacy, rendering that part of the argument unusable. Second, there is no substantial evidence to back up the claim that GMOs are bad for human health. And third, the advocate failed to address the major issue of possible wiping out of major crops due to Monsanto's policies. So first, the advocate's secondary claim states that GMOs are either banned or strictly controlled, specifically in all of the European countries, Australia, England, Japan, and France. All of these countries are just as developed or advanced as the United States. This is a hasty generalization, which is a fallacy of presumption. This statement leads the audience to the conclusion that because all of those countries are doing it and they fall within the same level of advancement as the United States should be doing it too. And that isn't necessarily the case. Second, the advocate states that GMOs are a threat to human health. However, this is a premature conclusion. Scientists have not been able to agree on whether GMOs negatively affect humans. That's why it's so controversial, and that makes this claim invalid. In fact, an entry in the Journal of Animal Science, Alison Van Eenennaam and her assistant Amy E. Young of UC Davis conducted the most comprehensive study of GMO food in recent history. After reviewing 29 years of livestock, which is before they were looking at livestock that were fed 100% GMO diets and ones that had never had any GMO diets, they found that there was no difference in the health of the animals after they had passed. Instead, the advocate should have mentioned the environmental effects that GMOs have on humans in the long term, because there are things like runoff and that affects the animals more than just eating the food, because it affects the environment more. And thirdly, the advocate did not have a third claim, but they did fail to address the issue that GMOs could lead to the loss of major crops, which would be a huge impact on humans. Due to the contracts that farmers must go into with Monsanto, which is one of the major GMO companies, they are not allowed to save seeds and plant the same seed year after year. Monsanto states on their website, when farmers purchase a patented seed variety, they sign an agreement that they will not save and replant seeds produced from the seed they buy from us. More than 325,000 farmers a year buy seed under these agreements in the United States. Instead, they must purchase a new strain of the seed each year, and the seeds are ridiculously expensive. If the farmer cannot afford to buy the new seed and continue using the old strain, they are sued by Monsanto, where they could potentially lose their farm and everything. Only having one strain of crops like corn available for farmers could cause entire species to go extinct if that particular strain is susceptible to certain bugs, if like the pesticide doesn't actually kill those bugs. And that is it.
All right, you start off pretty well organized, labeling the main secondary claims clearly. When you get to the first point and you've got your own counterclaims on this particular point, you basically make a reasoning challenge on this. Why it's a hasty generalization if 60 countries have done this is not quite clear. That seems like it's a pretty sufficient number. Your argument is basically suggesting that we should treat it as kind of a bandwagon sort of thing, where because everybody else is banning it, we should do it too. But my impression was that the advocate was arguing that the regulations and the outright bans are signs that the material is perceived as unsafe by these other countries. There's no discussion of the safety issue on the first point. It all is on the second point. And on the second point, the only part that really deals with the risks are the health risks, and you've got one study talking about the diets of livestock that have been fed GMOs, and that has found no significant difference. And that's a pretty good piece of data, but it's, I'm not sure that it's enough to prove the safety of the particular products that they're talking about. Excuse me. You then get diverted onto environmental effects, which at best seems to me an argument that the other side might have used to suggest GMOs are potentially dangerous. And the idea that they could have made this argument also doesn't really do you much good. The real question is, how does this respond to any of the arguments that the advocate presented? I think it's a little problematic. On the third, well, actually, like you said, there's not really a third claim, except that the crop issue comes up when it comes to, patents and using the seeds again and that sort of thing. And again, this seems to be an argument that talks about a potential problem with GMOs as opposed to a defense of GMOs. So in essence, your argument is that the advocate didn't go far enough in attacking GMOs, which I'm not exactly sure is really mutually exclusive to the claim that they're presenting. It's just like saying, well, the accused has been, this evidence has been presented to convict the accused, and here's a problem with that evidence, but here's some other evidence that also suggests that the accused is guilty of the crime. And I think that that would not really do much to convince people that you were on the right track on this argument. All right, thank you.